Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. This is Cyrus. Hope you like the dramatic lighting behind me. It seemed to have happened by accident. I want to give some updates about my illness with probably the virus that shall not be named. If I mention the name of the great virus of 2020, YouTube will actually censor the video, demonetize it. Pretty weird. I can't believe they have not changed that policy by now. I don't know what the heck is wrong with YouTube. And also talk about a potential spirit proof, which I think you guys will find interesting. So before we get started, please go down, hit that subscribe button, like the video, maybe even share the video if you think this is interesting material. All that helps keep this little channel going. It's been a little bit difficult right now. I have not been putting up as much content as I should. I know I try to keep content coming up, especially for the sake of my patrons, you guys who are financially helping support this work. And I never want to be lazy or not have new material up for you guys. So I do apologize that I have been a bit slow, but times have been pretty stressful lately. So on the bottom right there, you'll see a photo of me from last night, 1 o'clock in the morning, at a quarantine facility here in Davao, Philippines, because I was having difficulty breathing last night. And it's not a great feeling when it feels like you are suffocating. And it makes you really wonder how much time is left on the mortal coil when that happens. And now this has been 17 days since I first began having symptoms of the presumptive virus. Now, what is interesting, and I think this is happening to a lot of people, is that I went in and I came clean to the doctors about what I've been experiencing the last couple of weeks. And they came in, they got me a chest lung x-ray, they took my blood, put me in this quarantine ward for a couple of hours, and they did a normally you have to wait to get x-ray results. They took the results right there in the hospital and determined that I do not have the dreaded virus because there is not signs of damage to my lungs. Now, even cursory Google searches will inform you that sometimes this virus does not cause that much noticeable damage to the lungs. Sometimes it's a bit asymptomatic in different parts of the body. So that doesn't really mean anything. It's also true that this was like day number 17, and maybe those signs have already healed up. I don't know. But it was their estimation that this was not related to the sickness and that it was a complication of my acid reflux conditions, which is an interesting theory. I didn't know that acid reflux conditions can cause asthmatic shortness of breath. I found out that this is in fact true, and they basically gave me medications to treat that, including a strong antihistamine, which did in fact seem to work. Although the antihistamine would theoretically work if it was for treating the, I want to say pneumonia symptoms, but really it's not even pneumonia because I don't have fluid in my lungs, but I have like an inflammation of my lungs, which is why I have lung pain sometimes. And I'm going to assume that's probably why I couldn't breathe. And then that inflammation just went down by itself, and then the doctors couldn't really pinpoint what it was. Anyway, the point is that it was a pretty scary, pretty crazy experience, and I really wasn't so sure at one point. I was really having a difficult time catching my breath, and I felt like I was gasping for air. I went there, and they gave me the antihistamines. They kept me in isolation for a while, and sent me home. And I was better when I got back, and I was able to sleep. And now I'm just playing it one day at a time, because yes, it's possible that I've had a perfect storm of unrelated illnesses that all somehow have lined up to match the C virus symptoms exactly. Or the more logical explanation is that I've had the same sickness that I think many more people have than is even being reported on the official numbers. Okay, so that is how I'm doing. I'm handling it. I know some of you guys are really worried. I really appreciate all the prayers and the positive thoughts and all the people writing on my timeline. But we're all in on this together. There's so many people on my Facebook page with these same symptoms and, scary, unpredictable stuff happening to them. Just when you think you're better, like I mentioned before, like this assassin virus that comes back out of the shadows and then stabs you with something else. And that is the problem with this. Even if many days you don't actually feel that sick and you can walk around, be on your feet, you feel good, make YouTube videos, whatever, and then by 10 o'clock suddenly something begins flaring up and you don't know what it's going to be next, and suddenly you can't breathe or something. That's what makes this darn thing so difficult to deal with and so stressful sometimes. So I do appreciate, again, all the warm thoughts, the positivity, and so many people helping me out. Even some friends who donated to me some money and helped keep this channel going and helped keep my morale up. So I'm really happy and really grateful for everybody banding together right now, as so many of us at this moment have to begin adapting to life at home. We wouldn't have been able to do this before the internet age. Imagine if the pandemic had happened in 1995. Then we wouldn't have the internet infrastructure where it's possible to work from your home, and basically it's able to keep, I think, the economy from going into just a complete collapse. And it's also providing millions, maybe billions of people the opportunity to be at home and reevaluate their lives, reevaluate the things that matter the most in life, as well as learn about why it can be a really nice thing to work from home, doing whatever it is that you do. Now, obviously, if you can't work a job at a restaurant, you can't do that at home, but if you're at home, you can think of things to do, to create, or to develop, or to turn into something that you can monetize, something that is your passion, to follow the things that you love, and you can do this at home. So this is an amazing opportunity for that. Okay, so with that out of the way, now I want to talk about the next topic, which I think you guys may find interesting, and it concerns possible spirit communication or spirit visitation proof. And I know there's some people who are kind of like fence sitters and always wondering, like, how is there proof of this and that? Sometimes it's very difficult to kind of reach that gap and demonstrate that some of the things I talk about in this channel really do happen. So here's just another story for you guys, which some of you may find interesting. So as I mentioned a couple of videos back, there is a physical medium who is a friend of this channel, part of the community. I'm not actually going to mention his name. I've mentioned him before. Most of you guys know who he is, but he doesn't like to be in the spotlight. I don't blame him. Physical mediumship is a pretty high-profile, dramatic field, a lot of BS in that field, and I totally respect staying out of the limelight. It's not fun when you have certain like para abilities and then you get revered, or you get people coming to your door demanding you demonstrate your abilities to them, or you get people worshiping you and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So anyway, this gentleman, he stays under the radar, but he's a friend of mine, friend of this community, and he basically told me a couple of weeks ago when I first began developing symptoms that he would send a doctor in spirit to watch over me while I try to recover, to boost up my immune system. And that same night, had some weird stuff happen. I was here with my girlfriend here in Philippines, and then there was a pot or a pan that flew off a shelf while we were sleeping at like 1 o'clock in the morning, woke us both up, and we found it just lying on the floor. No explanation, and it was maybe something about the energies that possibly of this possible spirit presence that entering the room caused that to happen. I don't know. Now, a couple weeks later, I get a new series of symptoms, which I just spoke about. A couple nights ago, I was experiencing intermittent pain in my some of my organs, and also my lungs, possibly even my heart. I think it was just my heart was beating faster because I wasn't getting enough oxygen. And so I didn't really know what was going on, but I was pretty darn scared. So I was laying in bed, and I was really sending a message out to the spirit doctor guy. And I'm like, I don't know if you're listening, but if there's some team from that side that is trying to give me a hand here. I really need your help right now. This is not good. I'm getting symptoms back. This is, really scary. I was a little bit shaken up. I was, I was not really in a good mental space. I was very, very concerned and sending that message out. Okay, so the next morning I wake up feeling a little bit better. I check my messages, and the gentleman, the physical medium, sent me a message and said that he found this on his desk. So sometimes spirit will actually leave physical messages for him. This happens around him because what he is that he's somebody who like punctures a hole between the veil. Like his very presence as a physical medium is able to bring together this side and that side, able to join both worlds together just by the kind of aura, or the radius around him, which is why certain types of phenomena can happen in his presence. It is actually something all of us could potentially do. It's a special gift, but it has to do with the energy of basically your body and things I don't think any of us fully understand, but it's creating that aura, that energy, that field that joins us with that side, which is why, again, apports can happen. Things can fall out of the sky, fall out of the air around us. You can have all kinds of physical manifestations around somebody like this. Anyway, so one of the things that spirit can do around him is actually leave direct messages. They can manipulate a phone, leave text messages, send text messages. I kid you not, order things on the internet. You don't even realize they did it until it arrives at your door. And they can also leave messages, or actually physically pick up objects, pick up a pen, write a message. So I'm kind of crying out to this guy, seeing if I can get some assistance. I go to sleep, I wake up, and this gentleman tells me that he received the following on his computer. And for some reason, it's not working. When I pull it up, there it is. So this was the note on his desk. If you can kind of look down the bottom right side of the screen, and you should be able to see it. So here you see a bunch of scribbles, and it looks like this spirit entity was trying really hard to write stuff and was having some difficulty doing it. So you see scribble, 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 scribble. He calls it doctor's handwriting, which makes sense, but it almost seems like it's like you're trying to write something using your left hand looking at a mirror. Because I imagine there is some difficulty with your conscious perception when you're trying to enter into this side and operate like a pen, for example. Very similar to when I astral project sometimes, and I am trying to write something on a piece of paper, but my consciousness is coming and going between that world and this world, and then sometimes it actually literally looks like what you're seeing right now. So it's almost like the same phenomena happening in reverse with somebody from that side coming to this side. Anyway, so a bunch of gobbledygook, but one thing that he was able to write quite well was the top part. I think you can read it. It's very clear, and you can see it says, "I will come to Cyrus." He actually spelled my name correctly. It's not Sirius. It's not Sirius Black from Harry Potter. It is a Cyrus, just like Miley Cyrus. So the good doctor spelled my name correctly and was able to write out that message. I will come to Cyrus. Now look down here. It says, "I will come to Cyrus, help something many others," which basically means that he is busy helping many other people, but he got the message from me, and so he will come to me first. And that is the message on this piece of paper. So for people who are still skeptics, what are the odds that I get this message the next morning after I have basically sent that message to the spirit doctor in my bed late at night? Nobody else knew about this, and I was not in communication with the physical medium. We hadn't spoken probably in a couple of weeks, so that was the first time I had heard from him. He found the note on his desk. anomalously, and that's my name on it. So he sent it to me, and it's again corresponds to me sending out that mental signal to this gentleman on the other side. So again, I mean, it just reinforces many of the things we talked about on this channel, that the people who pass away are still themselves. Sometimes they still have the same professions. They are still doctors, and they are still caregivers, and they still have similar motivations, and they still have tangible astral bodies that can potentially warp into this dimension and pick up a pen and write a note if they have the right conditions around them that enable them to do it. One of the best conditions possible is to be around a physical medium, a channel that basically busts a hole into the fabric of this dimension and allows people from higher dimensions to step through. And it's not easy to necessarily make that leap. It's why not everybody gets notes like that. You have to be trained as a physical medium, as somebody who can produce that kind of energy to allow that gateway to open up, and then stuff like this will happen. Although it can in fact happen to anybody. Anybody can be that kind of physical channel. But it depends on different things. Depends on your mood, depends on your state of mind, depends on your connection to your loved one. And if that connection is strong enough, it will open a hole between worlds, and then this kind of stuff could potentially happen even to you without even being a physical medium. And this is why I read and have so many people send to me their stories of amazing communications with their deceased loved ones. The difference with the physical medium is that even without that strong interpersonal connection with the physical medium, it can work for anybody. They can become like a doorway for almost anybody to come through, which is also why the physical mediums often have spirit teams that closely guard the physical medium so that only the right people come through, because it is a jungle on that side, and there's just like here, you get a bunch of random people. It's going to be a lot of really, really nice, really wonderful people, and then you'll have a couple of scumbags mixed in as well. So we don't want the scumbags coming through. So there it is. Really interesting stuff. Definitely a proof of, spirit contact, that you can send that mental signal out. Just send out thoughts, and they can hear you. They're listening, and it's the best way to communicate with them. And so many of you guys who are grieving, who've lost loved ones, I didn't believe it at the time, laying in my bed, that anyone was really hearing me, hearing my thoughts. But this guy heard my thoughts and left a note. Now, is my condition improved because of this guy? I don't really know. I think they're doing their best. One more thing here is that I forgot to mention is I wasn't so sure. Let me back up a second. Okay, so this happened recently. Before this time, when I was first informed that this spirit doctor was going to come in and do some healing work on me the first time. So my girlfriend here, she's not really into this kind of stuff at all, but she was touching my back, and she freaked out because she said there was like this energetic vibratory feeling coming off my body. And so that was another proof. And I wasn't feeling it, but she was. And then about 10 minutes later, she freaked out again because she's like, where did that crazy vibration feeling come from? Or rather, where did it go? Because it went away as soon as it arrived. And so I do believe that this was spirit team basically sending these energies my way. Now, unfortunately, it's just impossible to know how much or how well this has healed me, because, like I said last night, I was in the emergency room. But maybe it would be much worse if it wasn't for their help. I was like, there's no way for me to know. It really is a mystery. So I'm on my 2 feet. I had that scare last night, but I'm feeling more or less okay right now. Would it have been much worse if it wasn't for spirit help? I have no idea. Maybe it would have been. They obviously cannot completely cure it. They have to work within their limitations. But I think what they can do is they can send energy into your body, and then they can basically improve your immune system and improve your overall health. And I think that's at the very least what they can do. And I we better believe that they're very, very busy right now as the world is gripped by this great cataclysm. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you want to find out more about some of these subjects and learn more about the realities of life beyond the grave, then I encourage you to grab a book like Understanding Life After Death or The Afterlife and Beyond. You can find both those books at afterlifetopics.com or on Amazon. Or get involved, grab a one-on-one coaching consultation with me, or join our VIP room, the group classes, the behind-the-scenes guest interviews, all that for patrons. So head to the Patreon page if you want to get involved in that, patreon.com/afterlife topics. Any help in that area, especially right now, is always appreciated as I remain stranded here in South Philippines. Can't get in, can't get out. Basically stuck here indefinitely. And but I will keep on trucking, as they say. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.